Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Crack Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Crack Podcast. I'm so honored and have the pleasure to introduce my co-host. Give a big round of applause, please, for Oguchi, Onyewu.
What's up, boys? What's up? What up, boys?
Next up, we have. He has no patience, Gooch. No patience.
Zero chill.
No patience. You must have. How many times he got caught offsides in national team?
Oh man!
All right, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause, please, for the man, the myth, the scholar, Mr. Damarcus Beasley.
What's up? That's better. I like that.
Oh man, my name is Mabricio Mookie Wilson. We're so honored and have a pleasure to bring to you a great show today. We have the professor, Mr. Johnny O'Brien, coming on to the show. If you don't know about Johnny O'Brien, he's a player, U.S. international, who was one of the first, right? He's the first American to play for Ajax. He also represented the World Cup, the U.S. national team in 2002 and 2006. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to talk to John because he's been away from the soccer world a little bit. And after his career, he took a liking to education and became a professor, man. How cool is that?
Dr. John O'Brien.
Yeah, Dr. John O'Brien. Yeah, you got to put some respect on his name.
Put some respect on his name.
Put some respect on his name. Put some respect on his name.
Oh, man. So right now, I'm in New York City where at least I can eat on the street. Bees.
Yeah, you said you sent that picture. Wait, you sent that. Yo, you sent that picture in the chat. People literally sitting on the street eating.
Yo,
only in New York.
I refuse to do that. And the cars are right next to you. Exhaust.
You know how dirty Manhattan is. People will be sitting up. Man, nah.
I sat there at light and looked at people eating on purpose. I said, I hope you feel uncomfortable because this don't make no sense.
but on the
literally
street,
right next to me. On the street.
Yeah.
Basically, they took the parking spaces on the street.
I saw a picture on Instagram the other day. It was Grant Wahl. He had a date night with his wife. I'm looking, I'm like, this man in the inside lane? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So it's not just that street. It's literally all over New York. They're doing that.
All over New York. But see, it's different if they cut off the street and no cars can go through. But for cars to go through, everybody know how tight the New York City streets are. So we're basically like, I swear, I could have definitely took a shrimp and then sped off.
I said I could have took a shrimp.
But we're trying. We don't have indoor seating for restaurants or bars. So the sidewalk, I'm fine. That's cool. Looks sexy.
Right, that's normal, but that's normal. Yeah, sidewalk.
But my problem is everybody know about the rat situation in New York City.
Yeah.
So sitting on the street, eating your food, knowing the sewer's right there, not cool. And these drivers, man, cab drivers, we all know cab drivers in New York City can't drive. Sooner or later, I mean, God forbid it doesn't happen that somebody gets into an accident. But let's talk about Houston. Let's talk about Texas. Let's talk about Florida. See, I'm looking at you guys. I'm gloating because when I was shut down in New York, you guys were moving around and getting haircuts and stuff like that. And now,
not bees. Bees is fast forward to Movember.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I literally just what was it yesterday? I posted something on my Instagram from my Beasley National Soccer School.
Let's get a round of applause that Beasley posted something.
I saw that picture.
Yeah, you saw it, right? So I've had mixed feelings, emotions, answers about my beard. So we talking about haircuts, and I literally have not shaved since I want to say February? No, March.
Nice.
Probably like March, something like that. So my feeling is, and I've gotten oh, you need to shave. I gotten, oh, it looks all right. I've gotten, well, just shape it up. You know what I'm saying? And then now I got to a point with my daughter, and now she's starting to call me grandpa. Seriously, hey, real talk though. She literally calls me grandpa now because she can see the gray. She can see the gray in my beard. And I be like, Leah. I like, yo, just I didn't say yo, but I was like, Leah, call me dad or papa or something. She's like, no. It's like, now your name is grandpa.
Yeah,
I was
but
like,
she got
why?
that for somewhere, man.
She joining the rest of us talking.
Yeah,
about
I'm like, why you call me grandpa? She's like, I can see you're gray, you're old. I was like, dang.
Wow.
So yeah, even my daughter's calling me out now.
Shots, man.
But yeah, man. So my question is, what do y'all? Should I save it? Should I shape it up? Should I just let it go?
I want to see how long you can keep it for. I think that's dope.
See, that's what I'm saying.
You went this long. What are you shaving it for?
The glow? What you think?
I want you to come back to looking like Fafa.
So that means I gotta shave it off.
Listen.
So that means I gotta shave it off.
If you keep on growing it, maybe you could put it on top of your hair the head to make it like
Okay,
a little...
next subject. Okay.
Listen, I'm super excited. I want to give a big shout to the NWSL. We started off the Challenge Cup. And they started off with a bang. They started with a statement. Many players not only took a knee, but also wore Black Lives Matter, was very spoken out. Actually, the commissioner and the made a statement saying they support everything. They support if you want to kneel. They support if you want to stand. They support even if you want to stay in the locker room. And we saw teams unified, kneeling together. And we also saw teams that were one or two chose to stand, and also coaching staffs chose to stand. You know, I asked this question to Gooch. If you're on the team and you playing for North Carolina Courage, and you had a player who chose to stand while the rest of the team took a knee, would that change anything in terms of your relationship? And also the coach.
Everything is in context, right? So on the team, I would hope that I knew what that person's heart would be prior to that. The issue with right now, as opposed to 3-4 years ago, where everybody was completely against, or unanimous, a large population was against the kneeling because of what they thought it stood for, et cetera, et cetera. Now it's almost the adverse. Now, if you're standing, we know what you mean, what you believe in, and I think it's a delicate area, especially this specific time. Maybe it might change in a different iteration of it in a few months, but right now, and I actually spoke to an MLS coach about this yesterday. He called me for my opinion, and I told him, I said that the easiest thing to do right now in showing your support is to kneel, because that automatically demonstrates that you're for the cause. The issue with standing, and not that it's wrong to stand for the national anthem, is that you don't implicitly know what that person believes in. He could be standing because he's against the kneeling, or he could be just standing because they feel some form of pride for the national anthem, which is completely fine. It's a personal opinion. So I think that's that catch-22. Like, standing it allows people to hide in a sense, and you don't actually know unless you do know them, and that's a personal thing. Like I said, in context. So it's a delicate situation right now. And if it was me, I'd just be like, you know what, I'm just going to kneel because people need to know that I'm for it. Whether this is a continuous thing for the next year or 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, who knows?
Well, let me ask you a question. And before I tell my answer to my own question, I want to ask y'all the same. Yeah. Do you think that you can still stand for the national anthem, still stand for the national anthem, but still be supportive of what we're actually trying to accomplish as America? Or are you contradicting yourself?
So, yeah, that's a tough one. You know what the coach told me yesterday, and I never thought about this one. He said, "What do you think?" Because he has family in the military, and he just wants to honor his father, et cetera, who fought in war, et cetera. And I was like, I get it. You know, I'm not going to say anybody that stands is a bad person. Just like 3 years ago, you shouldn't have said people that kneeled were foolish. And he said, what do you think about if people were to stand, but let's say 3/4 of the team was kneeling, and then a number of the team or coaching staff were standing for 3/4 of the anthem, and then towards the end kneeled with them. But honestly, you see, that's the issue. It's either all or nothing. For me, I was like, I've never heard that perspective. I was like, you know what? That might be a middle ground to say, look, because a
protest is all or nothing, though, Gooch.
But it's not the protest against the flag. It's a protest against what's happoning in the country.
Exactly. So the flag shouldn't be in the question. The situation shouldn't be. But
I have to say, okay. Before we get into, the reason why I asked that question is that I had a couple of conversations with different people, and obviously there are white people. But and they support the cause. They see that there's injustice going on, police brutality against Black people, and all the things that we're trying to right the wrong, and actually putting awareness to this stuff. This shit is actually really going on in America, and not turning a blind eye to it. And but at the same time, both people said that I'm going to stand for the national anthem because of, what it, the military and, supporting the flag and this and that. And I think for me, I understood it because not everyone is going to have the same opinions. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I don't think I can 100% write somebody off just because they don't stand. If I have a conversation with that person and understand where they're coming from and why they choose to stand, and they understand where I'm coming from and they say, okay, you know what? Yeah, I see it. I'm with you. But at the same time, I'm still going to stand because that is what the flag and, and I say, but it has nothing to do with the flag. And they say, yeah, I know. We get that. I get that part. I understand it, but for me, what it represents, for me, as a person, I have to stand for the flag, and I was like, go ahead.
But Bees, if blacks have played a part in every war since the Civil War, right? So now these people who saying that their ancestors fought for this country and that's why they want to stand for the flag, if their ancestors fought for the country, but they still don't have equal justice, look towards as fairly and equality, then what would they do? And how would they feel? If I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we have veterans that are black, veterans that are white. Everybody fought for this country. So if I'm trying to say to you is that if you sitting here, you say because you stand for the flag, because your ancestors fought for this country. If you as an American and your ancestors fought and you still have not been considered as your life matters on the same plane as the next race or next gender or next race, sorry. You should be able to see why people are kneeling and understand why people are kneeling.
Yeah, no, they understand.
He's not saying you don't see why people are kneeling.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying.
No, that's why I'm trying to eliminate the whole flag and war situation.
Yeah,
you know I mean?
So am I. That's what I said.
Because blacks fought right next to you.
Well, regardless, it's what that flag symbolizes to them, not the adverse of what it means to somebody else. Somebody can understand for example, somebody can say, I love black people, that. I have all these black friends. They could be white, right? And 100%, but they'll never understand the life of me because they're not black.
Definitely. Innately. I think my point, I heard what you guys are saying, I understand that. And I think everybody has, the capability and should have the right to do what they choose they want to do. Definitely. I'm just trying to talk in a team atmosphere, a team concept. You step on that field, you're all as one. If Bees, I forget Bees. I know Gooch kicked the hell out of this player. And this player wants to beat down Gooch, I'm still going to have Gooch's back. I'm still going to have Gooch's. I'm sticking with my team no matter what.
I wouldn't need his back though.
Okay, so go back to the original comment or the original topic that we're talking about. So some
it would
players
just hurt me if I stood took a knee and my coach stood up.
Okay, but would you not want to hear him out?
Yeah,
of course, we should hear everybody out. Everybody should be having a conversation.
Because I think that.
And I'm sure they did. And I'm sure before that happened, I'm sure they all had a conversation of what. And obviously, we don't know what was said, but I'm sure they did have a conversation. I hope they did.
Let me read a statement from Rachel Hill. Okay. All right, and Rachel Hill said, "I chose to stand because of what the flag inherently means to my military family members and me, but I 100% support my peers." I'm stopping it right there. How can you, if you support your peers, then stand with them. If they have an issue, if you have an issue, I'm with you.
But here, let's say, for example, the only way you support Black Lives Matter movement is to protest. So because I didn't get a chance to be in a protest, I'm not supporting it.
No, but we all trying to bring awareness. We all try to bring awareness and change.
Yeah, but there's awareness in different manners and shapes and forms, right? There's not one lane of building awareness. Just like there's not one manner of doing something and understanding it. Yeah. And so I say, like B said, it's all in context. We don't know what conversations were made, but us as watchers on the TV, that's all we see. We don't know the conversations that happen.
Yeah, exactly.
They might be completely cool with it because they explained to them prior.
Yeah. So I just want to, recap that. I believe you have a choice. And I believe that you should do what's right for you and what you feel that you honor. I just believe in a team concept that it is more effective if you're all together. But at the end of the day, I do respect that. And big shouts to Rachel Hill and others who have a different point of view, but still says that they respect and they support. I just don't understand how you support and you're not standing side by side doing what they're doing, but understand that.
And big shout out to the excuse me, NWSL, the commissioner,
Yeah.
basically saying she supports everything
100%.
of 100% what each player, what each team, what they're doing, what they stand for. I think
this the crack. We have to keep it real. I mean, it's the women soccer program, the Women's Soccer Association, who really was the first people to really make a statement and support Kaepernick, support the police brutality and what's going on in this country. So at the end of the day, I mean, it comes to being conscious, when it comes to kind of standing for something, the women's program and U.S. soccer national team has always been in the forefront. The players.
But I'm about to say, don't say
no, the players.
Don't say the federation.
Don't say the federation.
I waited until I was like, wait, is he gonna say the federation? I was like, nah.
Because you two both know, right? It was hard for you guys to even say something in the past, right? It took a lot of courage, right? So big shouts to you. And also the games, it was great to see. It was great to see the league start again. Goals banging, slide tackling. The entertainment was great. I'm excited. I'm happy for it. So everybody should make sure you get a chance. Check out the Challenge Cup. I think the next game is on July 4th, and I'm excited, man. I know everybody saw the tweets that came from MLS players about the food and about what's going on now in the bubble in Orlando. How crazy is that?
Yo, how do you get more infections in the bubble? In the bubble.
Because the bubble's in Orlando where it's shut down and
but they're confined.
The infection rate is going up.
Yeah, but I heard that they're letting obviously the workers inside the bubble go out, go home, come back. Of course. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They obviously when if they need to clean the room, they only do it when the player asks, for them to come and clean the room. But obviously they're going to need to do it. So, but the workers that work in the hotels and on the campus, they're allowed to go home. So you don't know who they.
So for listeners that don't know, right, the MLS, similar to other leagues in the United States, are planning to have a tournament all in Orlando, have all the players in one hotel. They test them before they leave their city. They test them every day, supposedly. And what's happening is they're finding out that I think Dallas had almost like 10 players who were tested positive and some other players. So it's looking like a situation where, they were hoping to have everybody in a bubble, and kind of like that hasn't worked. And players are getting scared. Players are getting frightened.
I heard teams are actually hiding numbers of infection rates.
Definitely.
And if this is the case, I wonder what the NBA is going to do, because I know those boys are going to try and sneak out and whatnot.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. We ain't even got on that.
Remember,
that's a whole new topic, dog. That's a whole. You really think these players, without their wives, girlfriends, even being just, being able to hang out and go to a movie or go have dinner or something like that, they ain't gonna sneak off campus or find a way to sneak off campus?
Listen, are you implying that?
No. I'm asking a question.
Okay. I want to ask you two that question, because both of you guys have been in obviously camps with the national team and preseason camps with your clubs. Gooch, did you ever sneak out?
Not to my knowledge.
If that ain't the best answer I've heard in my life.
You were sleepwalking?
Not to my knowledge.
Your sleepwalking body opened the window, jumped out the window.
I was clinically diagnosed. I do remember one time when I was influenced by Mr. Beasley.
Oh, he threw you on the bus.
And I was influenced by somebody else, I think.
We were in LA for a national team camp. And he was like, "Yo, let's go to the club." I'm like, "Nah, man, we got curfew." He's like, "Yeah, we can jump the window. We're on the first floor." I'm like, "I ain't jumping the window. We're gonna get caught." He's like, "No. We can jump the window and just leave the window open so we can climb back in." I'm like, "See, that's the bad influence." It worked.
Did it work?
It worked.
Thank you. So okay. So to answer your question is yes, I have snuck out on curfew sometimes. It's been not all the time. Only a couple times. It has been noted that I have done that. What are you doing? Are you eating something?
I'm not going to talk about that. Maybe I picked up. Maybe I picked up one of you guys like hiding in the bush to go to the club one night.
Okay, I didn't hide no
Okay.
bush. We literally we just had the taxi outside waiting for us. We called.
No, I picked you up.
Oh, you been.
You calling Mookie a taxi? We had the Uber come pick us up. On
Yeah,
the
straight
corner.
up. I don't even think there was Uber back then. Was there Uber back then, Gooch?
Nah, man.
Nah, I don't think so.
Listen, then the Goose, man, your man was behind the bush waiting for me to pick him up.
Why y'all got all these stories about me against me, and they're not, and none of them are.
All right, but here's realistic, right? Can you guys survive?
None of them are flattering. None.
Can you, as a grown man, sit there for 30 days without having no type of entertainment outside of the hotel?
I mean, some people could.
I could.
And
I mean,
did you see that food, Gooch? You a foodie. You see that food?
I didn't see what they're eating.
Oh
yeah. I mean, who posted a picture?
CJ blew him up.
The box
people blew
or
him
whatever.
up.
Like
Yeah, the box. I can't remember who it was, but it was like like the cold cheese that's just like a slab of cheese.
I don't know if that's real or not. That might have been.
No,
like
that is real. That is
real.
but no.
Oh.
Real in the sense of that's what they're like welcoming. Like
no, there's a menu, Gooch. I saw it.
Yeah.
They post a whole menu of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that
sandwich was $65.
$65. Somebody made a killing. Somebody made a killing.
Bologna
catering service
and
made
cheese.
killing.
Bologna and cheese. $65.
No, but how they described it though was like it was a special type of bologna, special type of cheese. It was some dry ass bread.
It looked dry.
It was terrible. And one little banana. It was definitely like some food you get off the plane.
And a bottle of water.
A bottle of water. You can get soda now. You can get soda now.
Yeah.
Bees is laughing, but that's what he eats every day. Look at him.
Shit. I have a great diet. Thank you.
Hey guys, wow! I just got a text from a player. I won't name his name in the MLS, and said his team has not yet traveled. He's supposed to leave today, but now we have more positive tests on the team, so he's not yet traveled.
So catch a joke though, and you saying that you just got a text.
And the first game is Thursday.
I just saw on Twitter that they're thinking about maybe canceling the whole tournament.
They have to.
I mean, I'm just saying that literally just came up on one of my feeds this morning on Twitter. And it was, I'm trying to scroll really quick, to see where it is. But I mean, it's being talked about, I guess. That can't be just a made up rumor.
It can be, but rumors fly and they have some kind of substance. But
I think they'll find a way to force it.
If the numbers keep on going up, it's going to be out of their hands, right?
Yeah.
And they can't do nothing. And I do not want to be in that room when they tell the owners,
the sponsors,
just everybody, like, your season is done, revenue's gone. You lost this much millions dollars this year. We thought we were going to recoup some of it with this tournament, but that's not going to happen.
How will you guys feel, right? You guys are there. Either you're on your way, Bees, to the scenarios. Bees, you're on your way. Yeah. You're supposed to leave today. You find out 2 of your teammates have tested positive, and you found out the team you're supposed to play a scrimmage against, 6 of their players tested positive. Who has a daughter, grandpa.
I wouldn't even. But before you even finish the question, I wouldn't be there.
Didn't you see Vela said he might not go?
Yeah, yes. I wouldn't. Yeah, because obviously you're gonna get differences of opinions because you got the old heads and you got the young kids that and I get it because a lot of it is a financial thing. You know, they gotta, and trust me, I 100% get it. They have to, and I'm speaking as old Bees. I'm not speaking as young Bees. I'm speaking like just if I was there now at 38 years old. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
With the daughter.
With the daughter. They obviously they want to make a name for themselves. Maybe they're getting $100,000, so they need this to survive and to provide for their family, or if they even have kids or whoever. So I get their stance, but for me, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't even go. I'd be like, I support. I love
as a team captain.
As a team, what you gotta stand on what you believe in.
Yeah, that's just like for me, a lot of these U.S. Women's national team players. They opted out of their tournament. A lot of them didn't even go.
For the courage. I mean, for the Challenge Cup.
Yeah, a bunch of women's national team players are like, nah, not feeling it. I'm staying.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel safe going in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So to ask me the question of what would I think if I was in Orlando, and then I see that other teams,
Have any of y'all been tested yet?
Yeah, I've been tested.
I haven't. I never.
I've been tested and it said I have negative antibodies and also negative for corona.
Gooch, have you?
Yeah, I've been before when I was in Maryland. Me and my girl got antibodies, and then last week I got just the whole nose thing.
And you good?
I'm
How'd
good,
that feel, by the way?
No, it's new now, Beasley. They don't go to the back of your brain anymore. They just it's just basically you're digging up your nose for like 10 seconds.
Yeah. They don't. Yeah. Just like make sure like eyes water and your nose itch, and then
right, and then that's it. Okay.
Yeah. But that's a tough decision. I mean, I spoke to one player who was positive 2 weeks ago, and he quarantined. But he said, and he hasn't arrived to Orlando yet. He's waiting for a private jet or a chartered plane. He said he refused to go on a commercial flight. But his biggest statement was like, "Listen, I'm scared for my kit manager, who's an elder man who's not as in shape or as fit or as healthy as the players." Right. That he can have an issue. He's been with the team, I think, for like over 10, 20 years or something like that. Yeah. And he's like, listen, this is somebody that I care for, that who we love, and we putting his life in jeopardy.
Yeah, because I mean, and with the doubt, it's not just players; it's some of the staff as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just the players that are getting infected; it's the staff. So you got to take all that into account when and with all this. So I mean, for me, like I said, I wouldn't be going. And I just found the tweet that I was talking about. And it just says, just really quick, it just says, the tournament is on thin ice. It says one medical expert. And this is coming from the rash of COVID-19 infections could force MLS to overhaul its scheduled return of play. Wow. So it's out there. It's out there.
Wow.
But so somehow the ladies have gone on with not a scratch. And
yeah, but I think it depends on where you are. They're in Utah, so maybe the cases aren't as bad in Utah as it is in Florida. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody, I looked at on the just looking up some random stuff, and I see obviously different states have different problems with COVID, and obviously Texas is one of the worst ones. But if you go to like North Dakota, you go to Maine, they're not as you don't have as many cases
because there ain't nobody there in the first place.
Yeah, so
Yeah, but listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to ask the doctor. It's time to ask the professor. It's time to ask supposedly, and many would say, the best player that ever played for U.S. national team. Let's give a big round of applause, please, for Mr. John, the professor.
Mr. the chair.
The professor, the doctor, John O'Brien.
What's up, guys?
Johnny, what's up, man?
Johnny O.
Yeah.
Have not seen this man in a decade or so.
That's amazing, man.
Awesome. Hoe gaat het?
Gaat goed, jongen. Hoe gaat het met jou?
Goed.
Goed zo.
Hey,
sorry, Mookie. That's a little bit of Dutch.
We're just gonna go. I don't want
Now, how's things, man? How's things?
Things are good.
Good.
Surviving, dude.
I heard that.
It's a crazy time, man. But yeah, we're good. We moved to Boulder recently, like right before this happened, the COVID thing, and then just been trying to get settled here and stuff. But
beautiful city.
Good, two little kids, and yeah.
How come the move?
How come the move? I was in the Bay Area for about 6 years doing a doctorate program, and it just wasn't. Like, we didn't have family there. It was expensive. Just lifestyle didn't seem like it was a good fit. And my wife's sister lives in the area, so moved over here.
Dr. John O'Brien, you were a doctor on the field. Now you're a doctor off the field. How'd you fall into that, man?
Oh, that's nice of you to say. Doctor on the field. I did like to think of myself as kind of surgical. Maybe there's a different analogy there.
I like that. I like that description. Surgical.
Yeah, it's nice. It took me a while to kind of figure out what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. You guys might have figured that out a little quicker than me, having longer careers too. But yeah, it's been nice to figure that out and kind of have this direction. Yeah, so I'm set up to work with people dealing with mental health issues and athletes, trying to help them with mental health issues as well and improve their performance and stuff like that.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Johnny, where and when did you do your undergrad?
I was in LA, and so I piecemealed it together. I went to junior college, Santa Monica College for a bit, and then Antioch, which was in LA.
Was this all after you stopped playing?
Yeah.
So you got your doctorate after Like you started school and got your doctorate all after playing?
I got my undergraduate after it, and then my doctorate. So yeah.
Gracious.
Man, that's impressive.
Wow.
So you said a little bit. You say that you started coaching. Well, you coached a little bit, obviously, before you became a doctor. So you wasn't feeling that, or how was that?
He was mad the kids couldn't do what he could do.
Yeah, right.
No, some parts of it I loved. It just seemed like to be a coach and like go that route. That's a lifestyle. I wanted something a little different.
Yeah. See, I'm the same way. I can't coach. I can't coach. That's all. I mean, if you're gonna coach, you gotta be in it to be in it. You know what I'm saying? Like we already have long hours being, players, and obviously coming to work or coming to training early, film and training, and then after that you stay and blah blah blah. But then the coach, they got to be there 2 or 3 hours before, stay 3 or 4 hours after, always watching film. Dog, man, I can't do that.
Bees, like a real job is 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
Hours to work a day.
But I couldn't do it. I'll probably do a 9 to 5 better than being a coach, 100%.
Coaching is basically an extension of being a player times 3.
More than that. I guess it depends on how much work you put into it.
Yeah. So, Dr. O'Brien, can we call you Johnny? Do we have to call you Doctor? Like, how you gonna be offended? What's going on, buddy?
No, man, I won't be offended.
I'd be offended if I went through all that damn school and nobody called me doctor. Shoot, you better call me doctor at the end of the day.
He's not as sensitive you, Gooch.
Oh, here he goes.
So, but John, I mean, you're in a terrific field that obviously you who've gone through it. Is this something that you felt that you've gone through in terms of mental stuff or mental illness or in the game, in the sport?
Yeah, I've had my hardships. I'd love on this podcast to talk about all of our hardships. But yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, moving over to Europe at a young age was hard. It was pretty lonely. I had to learn to grow up quick, and I think in some ways close off in some ways. That's kind of how I did it.
How did you get to? Because honestly, you went over at 18, right? And you went over young when
earlier.
He went over before 18.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I was 16, turning 17.
Yeah.
So you went over before it was cool to go over young, right? How did that happen, and how did your parents even let that happen and everything like that? How'd you convince them?
I think I was in a wave where there was some other players who were doing it young, but it was pretty odd. Yeah. My parents, it was my senior year of high school. I left before my senior year of high school. So my parents were like, I think they knew soccer wise, like it would just, being at Ajax would be just amazing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, if we put together the other pieces, if you keep going to school and create like a little social environment for you, we're up for it. And then it was, my dad felt that he could support me. My parents felt they could support me financially. For a couple years. So that was big. And that's how that went.
So tell me, when you're in Holland, you don't speak Dutch, obviously. You get there, you're an American kid, you're at this huge youth academy, because Ajax is one of the best academies in the world, right? How did you, you said it was hard, because me and Bees, we going over and blending or fitting in. As an adult is hard enough, but as a kid, as a teenager, how'd you get yourself to get that mental toughness to stick it out and actually rise?
Well, I think that mental toughness was earlier, you just have to have that from your family and from your upbringing. But I think it was in my family. My family, a lot of people were into athletics, into sports. And my dad used to he just loved hard work. So he'd be like every morning, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. That was a motto in our house. Yeah. And it felt to me like I wore it kind of like, hey, I'm an American over here. I felt a little bit of I'm going to do it, kind of representing Americans, that Americans can do this. Like there was something bigger than me that I felt like was really motivating, stepping into a big club and being an American. That felt really important to me and supported me through it. Did you guys have that at all, or what kind of helped you through when you went over to Europe?
For me, it was because obviously my first club was PSV, and for me, what helped me the most was playing. because obviously I didn't. I think if it would have went the other way, like when I first got stepped on,
Soil.
so yeah, Dutch soil, and I wasn't playing or I had to, take, 4 or maybe not that long, but maybe, 2-3 months to actually play and kind of, get my feet wet with the new team and, show that I actually belong to be there and get the respect from my teammates. I think if it would have happened that way, it would have been worse for me, because that was the only thing that got me through it. Because I was an American kid, just like you were saying. I didn't know anything about the Dutch style, the Dutch lifestyle, the culture there.
So it
but
seems to me
I played.
coming as an academy player is totally different experience, right?
Yeah. But I was playing.
Yeah.
Soccer. Yeah, but I was playing. So that obviously, so when I would go home after training, it would be sometimes it'd be depressing because I didn't have anything to do. But then at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out, walk in the city, try to sit at coffee shops not those type of coffee shops, but the other type, other coffee shops.
Those kind of coffee shops.
Nah, not that.
Both y'all in Holland know exactly what kind of coffee shops.
Not that, but sit out, in the square, just kind of, people watch and just really embrace and try to enjoy the culture and enjoy, me being in Holland. So I think that part helped me more so than just sitting in my room waiting for training to start. Because if I would have done that and just play, I would have been miserable. You know what I'm saying? But like Johnny said, being able to try to embrace yourself and really find out who you are as a kid or a person, and kind of show the Dutch people who they are. You can kind of combine it, and then I think all that went well for me.
My experience was completely the opposite, because when I signed when I was 19, and they were in the first. Mets was in the first division. When I arrived in the summer, they had been relegated. So I had a contract, but the federation wouldn't approve it to play. So I had to go 6 months of training without even being allowed to play in a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't speak French yet. And I was on the first team at such a young age. And back then, you guys know, it's not like now how you have 18, 19, 20-year-olds in the first team. It was rare to get such a young player. And so I felt like I was stared at by the academy kids that were my age, but playing on the youth teams.
Yeah.
And still on the first team, but even couldn't play. So it was like, I was like, well, I got to make this work. I don't know how, but this has got to shake somehow. And
my perspective, my experience, I think, is a little bit different. Having gone straight into the youth academy, it was kind of nice to be with kids my age,
right?
Who were doing 16, 17-year-old things like socializing and doing that. And we did have a nice core group that kind of progressed through the youth up to the reserve team. And I think that was became my family. And I think probably, if I compare myself to you guys, maybe I identify myself more as Dutch, than you might identify yourselves as something other than American.
Gooch is European, definitely. Definitely.
Gooch, how many languages you speak? Like 4, 5?
I got my Belgian passport, so I'm classified.
Johnny, I'm curious. How did Ajax first approach you, and where did they see you play?
Gosh, man, this feels like a different era, because my coach in LA had played briefly for a second division club in Holland called FC Wageningen. And he had met someone in the Dutch Football Federation, a contact, and he just wrote a message, sent a letter. Hey, I got a couple good kids here, want to play in Holland for the summer. That guy ended up arranging that we trained with Ajax.
Wow.
It was going to be we. It ended up just being me. The other kid actually had to cancel. So I was 14 at that age. At that age, I did that. And then my coach stayed in contact with Ajax. They thought I was a good player, and they're like, a couple years later, I could come back and try out.
So when you went there at 14, how good were your skills, and do you attribute of you being such a skillful, dynamic player from the Ajax training, or you believe that your coach who sent you there already gave you the tools and the foundation to compete on that level?
When I was 14, that was a hard trip. I played a year up, and those kids just had a whole new tactical awareness that I had no clue of. But I think I worked hard. I was pretty athletic, pretty quick, and I had a good technique. And that was something I think that was from earlier. And from 14 to 16, I think I grew a lot technically, physically, and also started understanding the game more. I started being involved with the youth national program. So I think my tactics improved then. And I went over to try out at 16. I felt like, okay, I can I can play on this team, and I can, maybe be one of the better players on this team.
Wow. I mean, you are the first American to start on a major European team. I mean, you trailblazed and set the path for people like Damarcus Beasley. Don't you agree?
Is that for me or Beasley?
That's for you.
That ain't for me.
How does that feel, though? I mean, again, like I don't think people realize of how hard that was at that time to make an impression and to play first team on a team that plays in the Champions League and has such a history like Ajax.
When there was no Americans, right? You were alone. Right.
Yeah, I remember watching a U.S. play against Portugal when I was young, and the U.S. just got shellacked by them. And I remember being so mad. So for me, it was this weird American mission to it. And it was interesting because, like, the first team was, like, my ceiling. A lot of Dutch kids have a vision of, like, Ajax and then AC Milan or Barcelona. For me, it wasn't that. But when I was at Ajax, if I just, I was dedicated, I was into it, and it was such a good training environment that it made me a way better player.
Wow.
So lots to thank for what they kind of gave me.
Did you ever think about maybe playing for the Dutch national team instead of the American national team? At any point? Yeah, you did? Really?
I did, yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Before the 2002 World Cup, we played against Holland in Boston.
Yeah.
And I remember there was Danny Lansat was a.
Yeah, you know Danny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played with him at 20.
There you
Good
go.
guy. Great guy.
Yeah, super nice guy. But he was on the national team, and there was, I don't remember who their left back was at the time, but I was like, man, I could maybe be on the Dutch national team. I mean, you just think of like.
And this is right before the World Cup.
Wow.
I felt like comparing myself, like I wanted to be that caliber player.
Right. No, I hear you. I wanted
to be that caliber player who could be
Johnny don't give a damn.
Best.
Yeah. No, yeah. I like that. No, that's what's up. So what made you decide to just stick with us?
Yeah, it was pretty easy. I mean, being in the Olympics was awesome. We got fourth place in that. That was a lot of fun. 2002 was a great tournament. So I mean, those things were great. And I think those trips back to the U.S. were always really useful for me as a person.
Yeah.
To come back and have training camps and stuff. It's just a different soccer culture.
Yeah, 100%. Especially having Bruce as your coach. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he basically is like, okay, look, we got training from 8 to 11 or 12, whatever. After that, I'll see y'all tomorrow. No, I'm serious. That's what it was.
Totally opposite from Bob Bradley, right?
Totally opposite. And more so, it was, this is back in 2002 we're talking about. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So obviously that whole, now from 2020, from 2002 is a whole different spectrum. You know what I'm saying? But it was literally like that. You know what I'm saying? Like we wouldn't see each other. People, I was, myself and Landon, we were young kids. So we would literally just, try to find somewhere to have dinner. And then we wouldn't see like our teammates until the next day of training or at breakfast. You know what I'm saying? That was it. That's how Bruce kind of coached. And I can kind of see what Johnny's talking about with the culture being from Holland, so structured.
That's where all that sneaking out came from you.
Yeah, I blame Bruce. I'm blaming Bruce on that.
I blame Bruce.
No, but I remember that my first really quick story. I remember my first preseason trip when I was with PSV. I think I've told this story before back a long time ago. And, I'm coming from Chicago Fire. Obviously, like you said, the culture is a bit different, because you stay the next day for games and obviously you go a day before, you fly because it's too far, all that nonsense. So my first preseason trip when I was at PSV was to Manchester United. They had a, preseason tournament. It was us, obviously Man U, Boca Juniors, and a team from China or Japan or something like that. But so I'm thinking like, it's like the Chicago days. So I got a huge suitcase because, it's like a 10-day tournament. I got a huge suitcase. I put jeans, I put sweaters, I put, like different types of shoes that I'm gonna hang out and go to to some kind of restaurant or walk around the city. And I show up at the airport with this huge bag, right? With all my clothes in it. Everybody got a backpack. a little ass backpack with like the toiletry. And they're like, yo, Bees, what are you doing? What'd you bring? And I'm like, I brought my clothes. We're not gonna be able to have dinner. I'm like, No, we have dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner as a team, and you have to wear the same outfit every single day. And I'm like, so we can't leave the hotel? No. I was like, so literally the whole team was literally laughing at me. I remember kept making jokes, and he would call me Mr. McDonald's. So that's where he thought I was gonna go for my meal. Because I told him, I was like, oh, we can't go out to eat. And he's like, no. So that's when he started calling me Mr. McDonald's. So that was my nickname at PSV.
Mr. McDonald's.
Till this day. Johnny, I got a quick question. I'm gonna embarrass you real quick.
Oh goodness.
No, honestly, because my first encounter with you, you're a little bit older, and obviously you and Bees played the 2002 World Cup, and after that World Cup is when I kind of got introduced to the national team, and then we played, I think, a couple camps, but then we played the Gold Cup 2005 together, and that tournament was that, and obviously training and friendlies were like my first experience of playing with you, like in front of me, and obviously you played left back, correct, with Ajax.
Towards the end, yeah.
Yeah, towards the end. But you were definitely a center midfield with the national team. And for the longest time, I didn't know if you were right or left-footed. I swear, I didn't. I had no clue. And then, obviously, the World Cup happens and your career, and you stop playing. But I always tell people, everyone talks about Claudio, everyone talks about Tab, and I tell people, I'm like, you guys do not understand that Johnny O had more potential than all these players. Like, for me, he could have been like the best US born player ever in history. Did you ever feel that when you were playing, like that, I don't know, your experience with Ajax or your football ability kind of was above everybody else's on the team?
I think with the US team, I did feel that like the training I had given me skills that I think technically and tactically, like passing and control wise, were above most Americans at that time. Yeah. Definitely. And I thought I could, be in that realm of like, could I be at a top team in Europe? Like, is that where I could end up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, for me, I was like, damn, how is this kid so good? You know what I mean? I remember I asked me, I was like, is he right-footed or left-footed? Because I'm shooting balls at him and he's just turning like it's nothing. I'm like, this guy could have been great. And then obviously injuries and everything, and you can speak on that a little bit further. And obviously it kind of derailed the longevity of your career. But for me, I was like, man, this guy was like, he was a real one. He was a real one.
Wow. Thanks for saying that, man. That feels.
Trust me, we all think the same thing on this show. We all think the same thing.
There's a richness to that, and I love hearing it. I was so motivated. I loved the game, and I loved kind of develop myself as a certain type of player, and fitting in with Ajax was so great. And there's also this kind of sadness because it does feel like there's like a potential that went unfulfilled. 2005 Gold Cup, I felt like I was 25. I was like coming into myself as a man, like, well, physically and then also like tactically and like leadership wise. And that was something that didn't happen, with injuries. I just didn't get to kind of continue that path.
It's all right, buddy. The real soccer heads know the truth. The real soccer heads know the truth. You know what I mean? But, it is what it is. Such is life. If I didn't get my injury or if this didn't happen, it's always the what ifs. But you've gone and become a doctor. So I think you're doing okay, buddy. I think you're doing all right.
But John, I was so excited to have you come on our podcast. Not just I thought you was an incredible player, but what you're doing now, mental health is such a big issue I find with athletes. Obviously, even non-athletes, everybody goes through depression, but nobody wants to talk about it. But I see a lot of athletes, such as my two brethren who's on the podcast with me now, that I always spoke to them that when you retire, a lot of people go into depression because they kind of lose their identity or their chemical balance. But I have no, obviously, studies, that's just going off of my experiences. When I finished my career and playing, I always felt like there was something missing. Even though I was finding other things to do, there was something missing. I felt like there was the identity of being a footballer that you trained, 30 years, 22 years of doing and playing. And now it's like, now what? And I look at my brothers who are next to me and they've jumped into business, but I know, and we haven't had this conversation because people don't want to talk about it. I know they go through issues. I know they go through problems. Can you talk? Never Gooch. Gooch is nothing's ever wrong with Gooch, right? Even when Gooch's knees fall off, he's like, "No, I'm straight. You talking about it?" Right? Johnny, speak to me a little bit about your findings, your studies, and what you're doing now to help athletes and people.
Well, like with Gooch, that's part of the issue, right? Athletes get taught to be tough and like suck things up, and it's hard to learn when to kind of express yourself and rely on other people for social support. I think there's a big difference in how you leave the game, right? Like someone like Bees, who had a full career, kind of decide himself when he was done. Like that's a big difference than a lot of, like say, most people who get cut or injured, or there's some sort of unfulfilled thing there. I mean, I think we don't do a good job as a sport and as a culture, really, to be able to kind of welcome that back in. I think talking about your past experiences, these areas where you might have been great, that felt really special to you. I think there's a lot of kind of feelings there that don't really get expressed. It's kind of like, oh, that's what I was. I should focus on what's next. And certainly you have to deal with the transition and manage whatever things come up next. But I think that's a huge part of like processing and becoming familiar with that identity as you develop another one. Typically, people go through like a dip of a couple years, and as they kind of reestablish who they are and integrate these past parts of themselves, they can, be even happier than before.
Yeah.
But we don't do a great job at managing that kind of in-between space.
What do you suggest? Like, say if you have a friend and you see that maybe he kind of has shown certain, certain red flags that he might be going through something. But again, as an athlete, you're so macho that they don't want to really talk about it. What do you suggest on ways how you can maybe approach that friend?
If you had a friend who was going through that, I'd recommend you kind of start with talking about their behaviors. Hey, it seems like, I'm looking at you, you're not doing this. You used to enjoy this. You're not doing this now. You're staying at home more. When I see you, you seem more upset, and then if you can do, it's called a warm handoff. I know this guy who's good to talk to. He helps so-and-so or something like that. It's always helps bridge that gap for people. Because there can be a lot of like, oh, I'm tough and stuff like that, but reframing it too. Like it's important to keep learning as an athlete, as a person, and having a private space where you can kind of learn more about yourself, about what's going on it's really useful.
Yeah. Now, I think there's a lot of players, a lot of athletes that, find it, like you said, they lose their identity because they've been playing a sport, whether it be soccer, basketball, football, for so long that after it's done, not only is it their identity, but they don't even know what they like to do outside of it, right? So it's like, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, is psychology something that you always liked, or did you fall into that? Or did you just were like, oh, let me just try it, and you ended up liking it more and more and more?
Yeah, for me, it was like philosophy, and it's kind of like depth stuff I was interested in. And I had some interactions with sports psychologists along the way that I liked what they said. I felt like it helped me a lot. They always seemed like really nice people. And so I think those two combined, and there was still some figuring out, like I said, coaching and other things. But yeah, there was a moment for me where I was like, okay, this is it now. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah, man, it's super important. And we've all have friends or individuals, just even yesterday, I don't know if I call him a friend, but, somebody I used to play with just called me up out of the blue to ultimately bark at me, and I didn't bark back. I was just like, oh, okay. And then at the end of the conversation, I sent him a text and I was like, I think you might need to talk to somebody. I don't know why you called me with this aggression, but you might need to talk to somebody. And their response is, everybody needs to talk to somebody. And, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it because whatever I'm saying, you're not listening or hearing. So definitely we all have friends that are going through, or acquaintances or whatever you want to call it, that are going through, these issues.
I have a question for all you guys. When you guys were playing, did you feel if you had any issues that the club provided any type of assistance on finding somebody to talk to? Or is that something that is encouraged? Do they provide a program?
I mean,
not back in the day.
Yeah.
I think more so now. When I was at Philly, they had a psychiatrist or a psychologist.
Yeah.
What sports psychologist. Is it a psychologist or psychiatrist?
Psychologist.
Yeah, she was on staff, so she'd be there like 2 to 3 days a week if we wanted to. And the funny thing is because when you see those people, like generally speaking, the players will kind of stay away from her because it's like if they're seen talking to her, then it's like some kind of negative connotation behind talking to her. And but I know she was super cool. Her name was Christina. It was at the Philadelphia Union, and I think that now that side of the game is being more addressed, much more than back when we were playing 10, 15 years, 20 years ago.
So I saw a physical therapist often outside of the club Ajax, and I really felt supported by them. And through them, they got me in touch with a sports psychologist to work with briefly, which I did in Holland. But the club itself never had anyone come in. And then they saw I was struggling with injuries, and I was also struggling with the staff of therapists. I didn't think they were very good at the time.
Yeah.
And we had issues going on. And so they brought in the medical doctor, why don't you go talk with him? And it was ridiculous. I mean, it was a horrible decision to ask me to talk to a medical doctor who's so close with the coaching staff, no sense of boundaries.
Yeah.
For me, that was ridiculous. And I just kind of laughed it off. And I sought stuff elsewhere that I needed. The club hadn't integrated it yet. I think now they probably do a lot better job of integrating it, but that was kind of that era where it was very foreign.
What do you think about in youth sports? You think that's a necessity that we have to implement in our culture here in America in terms of providing that type of psychology?
Well, I think psychology can work in different ways. I think coaches being real informed on youth development and kind of valuing the important things for youth. I think having someone on your phone if there's issues that seem like they're outside of your scope can always be useful. But I don't think you need a therapist at every youth club. I think if you're doing the right things and you have people who are educating themselves, that they can do a great job of helping our youth grow.
But that's what I said. Johnny, quick question, and we're going to go on from this, but stay on it. How do you think, and we've been talking about it, that the identified disparities and inequalities, and we're going to say specifically in soccer in America, has affected mentally the minorities within the game?
You wouldn't expect this.
That's a great question. I mean, I don't have any kind of expertise on that. People focus on how's it affected people in soccer, but you could just relate that. How's it affect people in general?
Mm-hmm.
Self-esteem, you think could be an issue. Anger, right? Could be things that come up around it. I don't know. I don't have any good sense of how to kind of direct that. I guess maybe throwing it back, you obviously had some ideas thinking up that question. You think racism, institutional racism has affected African-American players in the soccer landscape?
You say, do I think it has?
Yeah.
For me personally, yeah, because and I told him, so we both played with Eddie Pope, right? And growing up, I saw him on TV. I wanted to be Eddie, the next offender, this and that, a guy that looked like me that I could aspire to become like him, right? And then ultimately playing with him in the World Cup was everything came full circle. And I think that as children, whether it be minorities or anything, we more than hear something, we aspire to be what we see, right? And so me seeing Eddie, I was like, I want to be like him. But then once I was in that position, what's after that? What am I seeing after that level that I've reached that I can aspire to be, right? And there are no the number of the minorities in management or in high levels. I don't see that. So for me, it's all right, am I able to reach that? Am I capable of reaching that? Or are they going to restrict me from getting to that point? And so I do feel in a way there's this huge weight of the what ifs and how can we, et cetera. But that's just my personal opinion. And I just wanted to pick your brain from, a clinical psychology perspective of how to combat that outside of, the whole system changing?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're really a capable person, you're Gooch. So, like, I think the sky's the limit for you in terms of what you could do. I mean, in terms of not having opportunities because other people aren't, giving you those opportunities. And if that's real, I think that could be real, and that's something to know about and keep talking about. I mean, I think you are kind of an American hero in a way, so I would think doors would open for you, as a national team player and great fullback and great all-around person.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it.
I wish he did all right. He did all right.
He
did all right. It was okay. I mean, come on now. I mean, you did all right. You had a great career. Clap, clap. Okay.
Can I clap?
No, not clapping.
Hey, Johnny, do you
Not
still,
clap.
Best and worst teammates you've ever played with?
Oh, there was Christian. Best players or just best?
Best or worst. This is the crack. We tell 100% truth. You got to give us names.
I want on and off the field, though. I want on the field and off the field.
Different things. I don't know. There's so many ways to slice this. Best player, you mean? Like best player, best person?
Let's start with best player, and then let's start with best person first, character, right? And the worst person, like Damarcus Beasley, and then just go into the field of the best talent.
Yeah, off the field first, then on the field.
Well, someone you didn't vibe with. Who's someone you just didn't get along with in your days with national team, Ajax?
Ajax, there were some hard characters, man. That was the best team. Ajax, there were some difficult characters. Danny Blind.
Oh,
was he?
The privilege.
He would roast any younger player. He would come and I was the second team, and he would just, who do you think you are? What's going? And
he was that type. Oh man,
he always act like the coach's son or what? Keep it real. It's the critic guy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't interact with him too much. Luckily, he was a person who was, in charge of the hierarchy there.
Yeah,
and was going to call people out and do that. So that was really hard. You had to have a thick skin around him when you're playing. When I was playing on the first team as a reserve team player.
How was my best friend Zlatan on that team?
Zlatan came later, but that was Zlatan's a tough character in the locker room too. He's, in some ways he's like loyal and nice and funny. In other ways, he's just nasty. I had run-ins with him that were tough. I used to, he would kind of bully people in the locker room, and I'd always come back in English and just say a bunch of nasty words. And at one point he let me go. He's just like, I can't understand. I can't speak. And I was like, whew.
Yeah.
Hilarious. All right, and now the best players.
Man, a lot of good, nice players. Rafael van der Vaart was really just a really nice bunch of talent. And then Christian Kivu went on to play.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. Mm-hmm.
He was just dynamite, man. He was such a good player and so kind. And, like, you could just look at him and you just had this communication. You just kind of know what's going on. So it was just it was great to play with him. He was a great person and a great player.
What do you think was your best position that you enjoyed the most?
Oh, center mid for sure.
The 6 or the 8 or the?
Probably the 6, where I could kind of like lay a little deep and then play make from the back. I think my first year in Holland with Utrecht, I did a lot of that, and that was really great. And at Ajax, I got kind of pushed out. There was Rafael van der Vaart and Wesley Sneijder at the same time, and I was like, man, this is bad luck. So they moved me to left back because they, wanted me in the team still. I thought I was useful there, but it's hard to compete with those guys.
Since you're doing all, psychology, sports psychology, I suppose, would you, if the national team was like, hey, we want to bring you back in to be our, sports psychologist, would you welcome that?
Yeah, I think I'd love to do that. I don't know if the timing's right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to.
Ernie Stewart, get Johnny back. Get Johnny back.
Yeah, I
Dutch
think being
connection.
involved with the national team, there's still more for me to learn, you know. There's a lot of people who've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
I think with my experience, soccer experience, it is unique that I'm in this position now. But I would love to do that at some point. I'd love to be involved with youth national teams too. That'd be really great.
Johnny,
Just one thing before you go. That's one thing that if I ever, get a chance to, be in the, the front office, general manager, president, all that stuff. But my point is that I want to have soccer brains around me. You know what I'm saying? So having a psychologist that knows the game is important to me. That's for me. If I ever had my own team or any kind of
basically,
work
Beasley saying you'll always have a job where.
Yeah, but I like that though, because it's so many, especially in soccer, that I see that you get business people, you have doctors, you have all these different even trainers, but they don't know the game of soccer. You know what I'm saying? They've never been in around it. They just obviously they're coming for a job and they're good at it. I'm not saying they're not good at it, but I'm just saying me personally, if I ever got in that position to make jobs or whatever, like I want to have soccer people around me, soccer brains. You know what I'm saying? Not just because of they're good at what they do, but for me it's a bonus if they know soccer as well. You know what I'm saying? Just to throw that out there. But yeah, go ahead.
Johnny, I just want to say, I thank you so much for coming on to our show. But more importantly, thank you for keep on inspiring and what you're doing right now. Beasley, if you realize he just was about to start a program. Oguchi is finishing up his degree. So I think they both are going to keep on going and get their PhD because of you, sir.
I'm not getting my PhD.
Come on, Gooch. Come on, Gooch. That's my next thing. I'm going to harass Gooch to death until he gets his PhD.
That's from the streets.
The beauty of where you guys are at right now is there's more things to learn, more challenges, but new ways to grow, which is really great, and I'm excited for you.
Thanks, brother.
Appreciate that.
I'm glad we got to catch up and
man.
Let the world know your story and how great you were, present, past, future, everything, man.
Appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, man. Top. Yeah.
He gets nervous when he gets so nervous. He gets so nervous when you talk about him like that. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Johnny. Much love, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. All right, Johnny. Peace. I'll do it.
Man, just loves to flex that he can speak some Dutch.
I'm sure he said something wrong with it too, right?
No, I didn't. I just said see you later. Tot ziens.
Yeah, guys, I'm always talking about mental health and trying to warn people, but I don't have any type of background in terms of studying, just off of, I know of what I went through and what I see my friends have gone through, who are professional players or even guys who played collegiately, and then I have personal friends of mine who are not athletes who go through depression. And I think the biggest problem is that nobody speaks about it, right? And realize that everybody's not Gooch and a superhero and looks like Superman. We all have issues, we all have ups and downs, and the key thing is to talk about it so you don't feel alone. So
yeah, he's right, man. And you could tell him he had his tongue tied on some of the questions, but I do think
I love his honesty.
Yeah, he's honest. His perspective is great. And he understands. The most important is that he understands the issues, right? He understands that there is an issue, and he acknowledges that his perspective or his opinion might not be the best, but somewhat, you got to move in a direction and positivity. That's great.
And I like when he said, "I don't know," or I don't have enough experience yet. I thought that was real. I was looking for him to give me the textbook answer that he had, but he's like, "Listen, I'm still learning. I'm not in that position yet." So I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it for real. But as a fan, I used to miss him, Bees. When he'll come and play one game, I'm like, "Woo! U.S. national team, baby!" And the next game, he'll be hurt. I'm like, man.
That's what I'm saying. We talking about this the other day. The only people that really know, the Johnny O, as far as like how you played and how good he was the players, because he would usually, when he played for the national team, obviously when he came from Ajax, he didn't finish many games. There wasn't many 90-minute games you saw Johnny O play. You know what I'm saying? So we got it in training. So we could train before he got injured, blah blah blah. So we saw him every time he came into camp, and obviously with Ajax. But man,
But you heard what he said. He's like, yeah, I felt when I came to the national team.
Yeah, he knew it. He's
I
trying to be
better.
modest.
He's like, I was better.
Modest.
I could pass better than these guys around.
Yeah, I'm telling you, just from us, like me and Goose saying it to you, kind of as a fan, Johnny was the truth.
Yes,
and
sir.
I say this with total respect, to Claudio and the Tabs and I mean, and if you read anybody's interview, they all say the same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. You hear Brian McBride, Ernie from even Landon. They all said Johnny O was the truth. The potential that this man had to be the best American soccer player ever.
Yeah.
And I mean ever.
And you see how humble he is. He gets nervous when you talk about him.
Yeah, and this is not about how many goals you score, like being the best, the most
skill sets,
the more skill set. But him understanding the game, his technique, tactical, how he played, all that combined.
He seemed shy. Was he vocal on the field?
Yes and no.
I don't remember him ever screaming or not.
Yeah, not screaming. No, he never screamed. I mean, he spoke, but he didn't. No, he wasn't a screamer. He's kind of like Claudio in that sense.
Yeah.
Claudio wasn't really a screamer either. Not that type of captain. So those guys were a different breed. But man, Johnny O was the truth.
Yeah, and I think his injuries made that much big of a difference in terms of the results of the U.S. national team in that span, in that period.
Yeah. I think so, because I mean, you look at it, and I guarantee, because I'm sure he wanted to play so bad. He was he was young. He was 20, like you said, 25, 26, 27 when he was really feeling. And I guarantee he probably played some of those games when he was 60%. And I'm sure he went into Bruce and said, Bruce, man, I'm injured, man. I can't play. But Bruce like, yo, I need you. And I'm talking about, and guys usually play, and Goose, this. We play, no one plays at 100%. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? But, if you can still help the team at 80%, 85, but Johnny, I'm telling you, I guarantee, and I can't, say this 100%, but I guarantee he was playing games at 56%.
But imagine, like, his 50, 60% were better than people at 100%.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And the coach knew that from him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The coach knew that, like, okay, Johnny, I know you're only 60%, but your 60% is better than this guy's 100% or 80 or 90%. That's how good this man was.
It's like, Johnny, we don't want to put bees on the field right now. So
straight up.
That's great though. Who do you think benefited more by his injuries in terms of their career on the U.S. national team?
I mean,
Pablo Mastroeni.
Yeah.
Chris Armas, Pablo.
No, not Chris. They were different players. Chris is gonna be there regardless.
Yeah,
he was just unfortunate that but Johnny didn't play as a six.
That's right. He played as a field for you guys.
He played more a little higher. He played a little bit higher.
Pablo then.
Yeah, I'll probably say Pablo mostly. But yeah, Chris was there. They were different.
Damn! Imagine if he didn't force it himself, his body. If he had like the longevity, So I thought that's what you were saying, and who benefited more in terms of like.
Oh no! I was talking about for him being injured. Yeah. That's how opportunities coming, right? And coming out.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, did we use him dry and like not let him like recover and reach his potential? Just use him for what he was. And then
you think U.S. national team ever forcing somebody to come back?
Forcing anybody to come back to what? Like injury?
Yeah, like in terms of Johnny, like Gucci saying, if you would have let him rest longer, maybe he would have been healthy and gave more to national team in the long run. But
man, we all do that.
I thought U.S. national team is, compared to other countries, would probably be the least to give you pressure to.
It's more the fact of if you miss a game, you feel like your position's at stake. Yeah. Somebody else wants to, like you said, who benefited most from Johnny's injury? It was Pablo slid right in there and was like, all right.
But I think, imagine for him, me as a fan missing him, you guys as teammates missing him. Imagine for him, mentally, what he went through, frustration as a player. You want to reach the top, especially in Ajax. Everybody around you is big time players, and you're all striving for the same thing, and then these damn nagging injuries keep on coming back.
Yeah, I mean that goes to show just how good he was. I mean, obviously, he got kind of pushed out to left back when Van der Vaart came and Snyder came, but the coach was like, yo, we need you on the field. There's no way I'm putting you on the bench. I can't. So we're gonna find some way. If you got to play right back, you're playing.
Yeah,
what I'm saying? We feel we're that confident in you, and you're that good that we can't have you. Sorry, we can't have you. Sitting on the bench. We need
Wi-Fi peas.
Texas Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, peace.
Texas Wi-Fi.
Corona got Wi-Fi in Houston now. Goddamn Corona. I swear. Man, we still love you, Bees, man. We'll see you next week, man. But in all, it was I love to continue that conversation about mental health, Goof. If you don't mind, maybe bring on some players that maybe had those issues.
Yeah, if they're comfortable with it, man, we're here. This is the crack. We want to be real with everybody.
Definitely, man. And on that note, I just want to say God bless to everybody. Hope you guys have a tremendous week, and I'll see you guys next week. Make sure subscribe, please, to our YouTube. Write reviews on our Apple Podcast, Spotify. I mean, just real quick before we end off. I mean, I'm getting great comments and statements. I'm saying, thank you for telling me. Can you please put a review on the Apple Podcast? I hope you guys are doing the same.
Yeah, we want to hear your opinions. We want to hear your opinions, but what we can, what we can't do, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, help us out. Help Bees in his Wi-Fi.
Yes, please. It just went out again. It just went out again.
We know.
Yeah, Coronavirus. All right, y'all. Much love, and thanks for listening to the Crack Podcast.
Yeah, peace.